lot of people have been asking about what the process of getting the K1's like. Well, I'm going to cover the interview process. The interview process is probably one of the, if not the most important process in the K1 line of process. So there's a few things we need to cover here. First of the process for the beneficiary is the DS-160. What is the DS-160? It basically is a declaration of answers or questions that you need to answer honestly. Your answers should be consistent. Don't don't if you don't know something, try to remember to the best of your knowledge, because if your answers aren't consistent when you go through the interview process, or let's say you don't pass the first time and it changes, it's just going to throw up what the saying is red flags, or the interviewers are going to question why your answers are changing. So this is not going to help you in the process. You're always going to want your answers to be very, number one, simple, consistent, and very truthful. So even if your answers aren't something that you're proud of, or something that you are wanting to disclose or be honest about, you still have to answer it. Just be honest of what it is. Okay, so be consistent about your answers and be truthful. The second is your appointment letter. This is big. There are people, believe it or not, who show up to the interview without their appointment letter. Why you would do that, I have no idea. If you show up at 6 a.m. or before 6 a.m. because the line starts to grow outside the embassy in Manila for at the U.S. Embassy, and you don't have your appointment letter, guess what? You don't have an appointment. Even though you know you have an appointment that day, there's no way to verify. Even if your name it was on a list, they don't. Without that appointment letter, you're not getting in. So have your appointment letter in hand. Very important. They're going to give you an appointment letter. Have that appointment letter. It's part of your documentation, so don't leave without it. It's kind of like the commercial. I don't in America. There's a commercial with American Express. It says, "Don't leave home without it." Same with your appointment letter. Don't leave home without it. Your medical results from St. Luke's or from wherever you go. Your medical results are important because it's a documentation that's needed. Just because you passed your medical results and it was a good findings in your favor, don't think it's over, because if it's asked for or the interviewer is going through your paperwork and doesn't see that medical result, they will hold you over for asking for more documentation in the future. So that is another important document. That's important. Don't forget it. The MRV. I'm starting to sound like my Pongs. Look at my English is going out the window. They're by English. MRV slip. Um, I can't really remember what the MRV slip. What was the MRV slip?
That is like so- like a receipt from the bank from
Oh
BPI.
yeah, that's right. I keep forgetting how much money I pay for this crazy woman to get over here because I love her so much. Oh yeah, that's that cost 14,300 pesos. So all you men or ladies who want to bring over your gorgeous Filipino lover to the U.S. or to Europe, it is going to cost 14,300 pesos. Don't forget the receipt from the bank that you pulled out that money. That is important that you have that receipt and that you have the money. So that is what it costs, and that and shows that you paid it. Um, can't stress that enough. It's very important. They want to see that the funds were paid. That is the MRV. Again, 14,300
10,
pesos.
310.
Oh, sorry, they increased it by 10 pesos. Oh my gosh, there goes the cup of coffee I was going to buy today. Okay, your letter of singleness. If you have never been married, have a copy of your letter of singleness. If you've been married before, have a copy of that.
Cenomar.
It's the cenomar, I believe it's called. Anyways, birth certificate, yes. All of you who are listening to this video have been born at one time or another. Therefore, you should have a birth certificate. That's important. Have a birth certificate. If you don't have a birth certificate, find somebody who can write a birth certificate or verify that you were born somewhere and give you that proof of documentation that you have a birth certificate. You can't get through this process without it. So that's important. And now the MBI, I think, is still the same thing, correct?
That is National Bureau of Investigation.
Oh, yes, for all you criminals out there. Yes. So that is basically is a National Bureau of Investigations, and we'll make sure that your criminal record. If you do have a criminal record, hopefully it's already cleared because you have a NOAA 2 by now. If you have a NOAA 2, that means whatever criminal record that you may have had has been cleared or okay to move on through the process. That police clearance for those who are expatriates. Expatriates, let me define that for a little bit. Most Americans or Europeans understand what an expatriate is, but an expatriate is if you are from, let's say, the Philippines and you've worked abroad, you're an expatriate. But you will need a police clearance from those countries. But if you came back already from those countries, you most likely have a police clearance. So just make sure you produce that. Proof of relationship, that's another important part. The proof of relationship, chats, phone calls, pictures, if you met with the family, time together, produce those. Please have that in a binder, organized, times, dates. Subheadings, write about it, places where you were at, just things like that. Just make sure you have just a log of when you were together and what you were doing. And that's pretty much it for the beneficiary. All right, and last but not least, we have the petitioner portion of it. Petitioner, you know, and I know, you're the pain in the butt. You never turn in anything on time to your beneficiary. And you're always going, I don't want to turn in paperwork, but you have to. So your 1134 or G1134 affidavit of support, make sure you get that on time to your beneficiary. Very important. Because without that, there's no record of your support for them. And now we're going to move on to the IRS and your W-2 forms. The IRS and W-2 forms are two different things, so please do not argue with your beneficiary like I did. They're not the same. Go to irs.gov, create a login, and either receive your IRS form via online, download it, and print it out, or through the mail. I did it through the mail. And then obviously scan or get a copy and send it to your beneficiary, or give them the login so they can log in from where they're at and they can download it. And then your W-2 obviously comes from your employer unless you are self-employed. And then I'm not too familiar with the self-employed portion of it, but W-2 comes from the employer portion. Divorce decree. Most people that I know that are going through this K-1 visa have been married before, either the Filipino or the American / European / Indian, or whoever you are or wherever you come from, have been divorced before. Divorce decrees, make sure completely legible and legal, and that they're certified. And because if they look like they're a copy and not certified, then most likely it's going to be questioned and probably discounted as far as authentic, and most likely they're going to want more evidence. So make sure it is verified and there's kind of a seal or signature of a judge or whatever the case may be from whatever township, county, or state you're from. Your passport is important. It's a copy of that, and your birth certificate. Again, birth certificates from both sides, very important. If you listen to this video, again, you have been born and you possess or have been given, your parents have been given a birth certificate. All right, and some final tips. So you've made it in to the embassy. It's a big, beautiful building with lots of guards and guns, and they're going to arrest you because you're Filipino. Just kidding. You finally made it in. But there's some tips and tricks that you need to know to make this process go smoothly. Number one, have your paperwork in order. I've already told you this once, but what I mean by that, have two separate folders, one with the beneficiary information and one for the petitioner information. That means your information and their information. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Have a folder looking like something like this. And inside, have all kinds of different tabs saying what's in each area. So if the information's asked for, you can easily access that information. So maybe you have a blue one for you, or a red one for your soon-to-be spouse or fiance, or whatever color you choose. But make sure the tabs are clearly written out and you understand what's in what. And my Pongs is a nasty, nasty Pongs. She's like a volcano back here. I hope nobody heard that. She's trying to speak what we call she's trying to speak air. I don't speak air. What's wrong, Pongs? You better not edit that out of the video. See what I have to put up with? I should have left her in Manila. I guarantee you that didn't go through St. Luke's. St. Luke's would have failed her. They said, what is that coming out? Woo! Yikes. Oh my gosh, Pongs. Now you know why I call her Pongs. It's not because of her face. It's because of what's coming out the back end. Anyways, so that's one tip. The other tip is, will you stop? I'm still doing the video. Crazy. Thera loco. Too much toyo, because I can smell it. Woo! Anyways. Yeah, that's right. You better go use that restroom. So, the other tip I have for all of you is when the interviewer, the consulate, is asking you questions, keep your answers pertaining to the question. For example, if they ask you how many kids you have, say 1, 2, 3, or 4. Don't go, I have 2 boys, 1 girl. One of the girls is from one dad, or I have 2 boys from one parent. Don't do that. Keep your answers simple and to the point. You answer the question that they're asking. Don't get too involved. Don't be too elaborate with your answers, because what's going to end up happening is you're going to drag on the process, number one. Number two is you're going to open doors that they weren't even looking in the first place. If they ask you, where do you live? Or have you traveled to other countries? Yes. If they ask you which countries, then answer that. If they ask you if you traveled to other countries, don't answer which countries for them. Let them ask the question. So don't answer questions they haven't asked yet. Very important tip, though. This is very important. For those who are the beneficiaries, please, and I repeat, please know everything you possibly can know about your petitioner. Okay? Petitioners, please be honest with your beneficiaries. How much you make, where you work, meaning your income, annual salary, hourly, if you make an hourly money, or what you make hourly, if you make monthly, yearly, if you have assets, your kids' names, why you got divorced in the first place. Be honest about these things, because they will ask. These questions will come up, and if your Filipina isn't able to answer these questions, it just shows she doesn't know anything about you or your past, and that is a red flag, and they will require further information, and it will delay your process a month, 2 months, until they get their answer that will be sufficient for them. So the better that they can answer these questions, the better for the process, the quicker for the process. I know most of you are gonna be asked the question, how much does your fiance make? What is their kids' ages, if they have kids? Why were they divorced? What is their ex-spouse's name? Where do they live? Where did they live before? These questions come up. What kind of car do they drive? What year is that car? These things will come up. If you do not know the answer, that shows that you do not know your fiance or boyfriend, or whatever the case is, well enough to come over as a beneficiary. These are important. So please, please learn, study, ask questions. If you're not sure, ask these questions to the petitioner, to your fiance, to your boyfriend, to your husband in this process. It's important. If you don't know it, you will fail, and it will delay your process. So these are some just quick tips. I hope you've learned something. I hope you can use this in your interview process. If you can, great. If it doesn't come up, then awesome. You had an easy interview, and you're on your way to the USA or to Europe or to whatever crazy country you're traveling to. And God bless you, and good luck into your future and your relationship. If you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out to us. And again, please ask whatever questions you have in the comment section below. We'll get back to you. And don't forget to subscribe and like this video. And we'll make more of these if you like them. All right. Bye.